Hello. Well, I don't know what the Romans or the Greeks were thinking about their gods, but later it seemed, um, well, they abandoned the idea that everything changes all the time. They hated the idea. They hated the idea of atoms. They wanted that things were um, infinite. In Greece, they they wanted that an apple could be cut into smaller pieces eternally, endlessly, so always smaller, infinite. So from this infinite came something like eternal, forever, never changing, and which humans cannot observe, don't understand. It's the universe. And then, so the universe, that was our old universe, according to scholars, and they always copied each other. So, um, of course, then they had um, um, the mind and material things. The material earth was, well, not the earth was not the water in the sea. It was not the air in the atmosphere. The earth was the land. um, so God, they had all this was the planet, and it was the center of the universe because everything comes to the earth. If you put something, well, that was the idea. And then, so that material things like earth and water and air were far away from the eternal concept. The closest was the spirit, the mind, the idea, and between the mind and the material was the soul. The soul. Well, that's according to Plotinus. And then we have Augustinus in 400 after Christ, who, well, studied the new Bible. Recently, Jesus passed, and everything was written down in the first century after Christ. And so, a few hundred years later, this new Bible is read by, yeah, someone who even got appointed bishop, and with the fall of Rome, he had something like, yeah, the gods, they don't, God wants to, is very very kind, and you need to be kind to him too, in your heart. And so that was his idea. It's still today, yeah, like that, no problem. And after earth we go to heaven or hell, but yeah. And then I'm missing, because that's 400, and then suddenly in 600 we have Islam. Well, that's exactly about heaven and God, but yeah, I mean, there is no more evolution of thought, because the Quran is the word of God himself, so there cannot be any interpretation anymore. So I cannot discuss it. But well, in Italy, they discussed it in 1200. They believed monarchy was the best what you could do, like God wanted it like that. And also, well, some poets make descriptions how it looks like in hell. So in 1200, and then we get the Renaissance, but and the Enlightenment. yeah, and then come the atoms again. By the time of the French Revolution, the Lavoisier was able to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. And with oxygen and hydrogen, he was able to make water. The oxygen could come from metals even. So, and he had split air. He could split water, which, yeah, was totally absurd according to the science of the Lavoisier's time. That's the French Revolution, 1789. Um, so, and then, yeah, um, now we like the idea of atoms. Yeah, we see atoms everywhere. We see our DNA, and we see all atoms as equal. So we have a very, very mechanical, material vision of our Star Trek universe. And well, but well, we have well, even our fears, they are about atoms. Like global warming is because of atoms, carbon, yeah, dioxide, CO2. And so, well, I think, yeah, it's different from the Greeks. It's different from Christianity, because there everything was like ideas and now knowledge and then the soul, and well, the atoms were not that important. So yeah, that's a change, a real change. And still, when you see humans, they are still like, yeah, we want to try this, we want to try that. They don't believe so much in atoms. How can you believe in an atom? You believe in an idea. So yeah, mm, I well, it's a start of an explanation. It's of course much more complicated to explain, but that's something I see, and I didn't see it a year ago, so it's new to me. But yeah, I have always been curious, and maybe I should make some video about well, when my childhood and things like that. So when yeah, I was not always curious for these history religious things. There has been a time when I was fascinated by science, but chemistry and physics, the the hydrogen society. Mm. I did in photovoltaic cells. Well, I was reading books about that. So let me think. In 19, well, before 1990 probably. So yeah, before 1990, because then I got in the university, in law school, and then I fell in love, and I started being more interested in nothing like science, because in high school, when I was 17, yeah, I had 95% on science, so I studied Latin and science. And when I went to the library, then it was all books about hydrogen and photovoltaics, and yeah, I was very interested in that. Those books really fascinated me. But so now they talk about these things. They call it alternative energy. But to me, yeah, oh, that's 30 years ago. That's something old, and they call it new now. So I don't know. But well, we'll see. It's so that is one of the things I have been doing. Um, and well, there are a lot more. Um, well, I will tell you, but yeah, uh, I think this is a good way to make a video. So in the car, with enough light, and with my left hand side, so the light, I must park it in a way that the sunset is on my left hand side, and then yeah, I can make video, I can talk. That's great.